Welcome to the Harmonious Family Life, how to create deep connections, transform your family, and live with confidence and grace. My name is Ulrika Bilby, and my mission is to transform families and to help them create a harmonious family where we all can thrive individually and together, using our strengths and unique skills. And today, I will be speaking to Karen Shaw. Karen, she has been passionate about coaching parents since she's discovered the skills, tools, and techniques she learned that helped her change her relationship with her 3 sons for the better. Karen is a transformational empowerment coach and speaker and the author of Parenting Magic. Welcome, Karen. Thank you.
Thank you. I am so happy to be here because this is absolutely right up my street, isn't it? This is my passion too. So yeah, I'm really happy to be able to share with people.
Oh, yes. And we will have a very interesting conversation, I feel, today. We've been talking a little bit earlier, and it's such a timely and very important message, I think, as well. Talking about how we speak to our children, how we show up in our being, and how we are affecting our surroundings. So before we just dive in, would you just tell me a little bit more about yourself and why you do what you do?
Absolutely. I am a single mom of 3 wonderful men. My boys are grown up now, and I've been a single parent for over 20 years. And it was way back in 2006 when I'd got my eldest, who suffered a brain hemorrhage and then lots of complications. And then my youngest one on the autistic spectrum, and the middle one in between, bouncing around, trying to find his place. And it was tough. It's a tough ask a lot of the time, parenting. And especially with Eden, who was, I didn't know how to handle him because of his autism and labeled with ADHD and his language delays. And I just knew there had to be a different way. There was something in me that knew there was a way of connecting better and a way of helping us all gel. So my journey started with NLP and hypnotherapy and energy therapies. And then that is way back in 2006. And I have just gone on and carried on training and learning. And what I think I've done is I've taken bits of all these modalities and put them in a melting pot and come up with this parenting magic that works so well to help us have that harmonious family life. And that's what we want, to be happy. And I love what you said then about the beingness, because we are human beings. We're not human doings. And we spend so long, I think, mums possibly more than men, I don't know, that for sure, but we have these to-do lists.
Yes.
And I really, really want to encourage everybody, if you've got to-do lists, please have a to-be list as well, with at least as many things on there. And when I say to be, it's like you decide, you wake up and decide how you are going to be that day. Just pick a few of those. I'm going to be kind. I'm going to be smiling. I'm going to be helpful. I'm going to be playful. I am going to be, and think of what you can actually help your children be as well. Because we know, don't we? It's however we are, it rubs off on our children.
Oh, wow. I love that. That could be one of those really great tools that we can take with us, because you're so right. We have our to-do list. And it's helpful with lists and knowing what to do, but the importance of just being, who am I today? Who do I want to be?
That's part of the consciousness. When we talk about, conscious parenting, I think it is making these conscious decisions too. And yeah, the list is great for that. If I have written down 10 things, I'm going to be playful, I'm going to be, and then you can just check and think, well, I've not quite done that yet, or I did that. And I don't mean to beat yourself up about it if we haven't got through the whole list, but still, it's just that reminder. And we need the prompts, don't we? And it's so important, because how you be is the energy that you're giving off that affects those children.
Yeah. So I just know for myself as well, and I told you a little bit earlier, that is one of my things this spring that I'm just trying to be a little bit better at, just being aware of how I show up in my energy and not if I feel a little bit irritated, to not just go there, to stop and check myself and change. And it's so interesting to see that the shift that happens also in your children.
Yeah, absolutely. Because what's interesting, I know you know that I'm an energy therapist and I use the energy alignment method, and all energy starts, a thought is our first output of energy. You know, from the neuroscience, when we look at it, we know that we've got the neurons that fire and then they go across the synapse and they connect with another one. And that's what a thought does. And if we run it again and again and again, we're increasing the energy of that. We run thoughts that often that they become beliefs, and then we behave according to our beliefs, our values, our beliefs. And so we can be sitting there thinking, and if they're not good thoughts and they're not putting us in a good place, and I know I've spoken to you about this, my little one, you know, has turned around to me before when I'm not saying a word, and he's just said, you know, what's the matter, mummy? What's wrong? And I have instantly gone, oh, nothing's wrong, nothing, I'm fine, it's okay. And so what that shows me is that he can pick up on that energy. His intuition is telling him there's something not quite right. And then what do? And I know it's out of protecting them and keeping them safe. I don't admit that he's right. He's right. There was something not quite all right with me, and I wasn't feeling that good. And I now know that it would have been better to acknowledge that he was right, to give him his power back and say, that's really, you know, that's interesting. You've picked up on something. And if it's acknowledged that they've got intuition and we encourage them, I think that's really important, because we knock it out of them. So we stop them having the confidence in their own feelings and gut instincts and intuition. And it's so important that they learn to rely on that.
So what you're saying, so would you just guide us a little bit into that? So what you're saying, what I'm hearing you say, is then that we will help them better if we actually stop and acknowledge what they feel, and then talk to them about it.
Absolutely. So, you know, that was just him saying what's wrong, and I was very quick to dismiss that there was anything wrong, and that's a shame, because he was right. You don't have to tell them the details, but just acknowledge that they were right. That's really, you know, it helps self-esteem and confidence building. And the other thing, when they are feeling something, we often, in a way of encouraging them, say, oh, don't be silly, it's all right, you'll be all right, instead of saying, I understand how you're feeling. I know this might be scary. I know you haven't done this before. It's acknowledging or meeting them where they are at. And there is something that, you know, I think emotions, we have a whole range of what we call emotions. And that word just comes from energy and motion. That's all it is. It's a vibration, a frequency that's moving. And however we label them, it's a different frequency. There's got to be a time, Ulrika, that a child experiences an emotion for the first time. And I think we forget that. The first time that they are really upset about something, they won't understand what's going through their body. And instead of just saying, oh, you'll be all right, it's okay, you know, we'll get another toy if they've lost one, or we can fix that. It's saying, I know this is something new to you. I know that it's, and we tend not to do that. There'll be a first time they are angry. There'll be a first time they're frustrated. There'll be a first time for it all. And if we don't acknowledge it, we're not guiding them through it.
Yeah, so that's what you then say, it's more being conscious, so conscious parenting, being aware of what's going on.
Yeah, and be with them with it, rather than trying to pull them out of things and guide them into a different direction. It's going, I call it, you know, going with the flow, go with this flow of energy, and then we are all in alignment. The interesting thing that I find a lot with parents, they're not even aligned to parenting. They're not even in flow with this. Their energy's not, because they're all over the place. They've got expectations, to-do lists, and it's like, can you please stop, breathe, be, and that is when we're more in flow. And there's all those wonderful things that we know are good for us, like meditation and yoga and long walks. And it's being the best we can be. The best present you can give your child is be it.
So what do you say to parents, or how what do you say to them when they go, well, I don't have time, I have to go to work, or, the have to list that they have, because life is real and life is messy, and and as you said, just being a parent, it's a lot. So hearing these, you could be like, yeah, that's all fine if you were in a perfect world, but I'm not. So what do you say to them?
Is we've all got 24 hours in a day. We all have. And the truth is, it's entirely up to you how you use those 24 hours. So it isn't a can't do, it's I'm choosing not to do that. Now, very often parents or families have that hectic morning.
Yes.
I know it's all been very different now because we've not had the same sort of school runs and everything's been all up in the air. But, it can be chaotic on a morning. I know mine were, that before I knew any of this. All it takes is the parent to be 10 minutes earlier to set the intention of calmness. To think it, to feel it, to be it. Because when you are in that state, whether it's breathing, a tiny bit of meditation if you've got the time, grounding, whatever it is that you can do for 5 minutes to get you in a grounded and present state. I absolutely love diffusers as well, because smells are really important. A morning isn't, it's not a good, for me, I don't believe it's a good time to be having the televisions on or your phones on straight away, or laptops or games, if we can avoid all these electromagnetic frequencies that, there's a place for them. If we can create that calm morning, we've got a better chance of the children waking up. They're waking up into the energy or the atmosphere that we've created.
Yes. So having whatever you find, if it is to sit still with that cup of tea, or if it is praying, or as I said, breathing, meditating, just finding that space. Yeah, that's so valuable. But then you need a little bit of discipline then to actually go up a little bit earlier and make that choice.
Yeah, that's it. And I absolutely love this. If we can stand into our personal power, it's a fabulous place to be, because honestly, nobody makes you do anything. You don't have to. Now, people say, yes, I do. I have to go to work. I've got to earn the money. I get that. The truth is you don't. So my question is sometimes goes like this. What would happen if you didn't? Well, I wouldn't get paid. Well, what's wrong with that? Well, then I wouldn't be able to afford the mortgage or the rent. Well, what's wrong with that? Well, then I'd be homeless. And what's wrong with that? I don't want to be homeless. I want a roof. Right, that's why you go then, because you're choosing to have a roof over your head. And if only we could stand in that position, we claim back the power that we so happily give away. Everything's choice.
Yeah. So then if you come from that place, what I hear you saying is that then you will be happy to go to work, because then I choose to go to work, because then I will be able to afford my house and my mortgage and all those things.
That's it. Because what I think we are living in, this culture of blame, and it's so easy to fall into, and I don't think we realize we're doing it a lot of the time. And I will say that parents are very often parenting from fear and blame. Fear, scarcity, and blame are the things that run us. So when I talk about fear, it depends what you think parenting is. What are you here to do? Are you here to completely, wrap your child in cotton wool and make decisions for them, or to guide them? Yes, protect them and keep them safe, obviously. So when we want to do that, it comes out. If a child is near a road, rather than saying, stay on the grass, we'll say, don't run into the road. We preempt things with the don't. Don't do this, don't do that, don't do the other. And we're focusing on what we don't want. which actually encourages it to happen. You know about the law of attraction, and what we focus on, we'll get more of. So stop focusing on what you don't want, focus on what you do. So I want you to walk next to me. You know, I want you to, whatever it is, remember to do your homework, not don't forget it.
Yes.
Because this is what I love from an NLP perspective. When I learned about the unconscious mind, our unconscious mind is running most of us. The programs that we've got, 95% of what we do is unconscious, which is pretty scary, that you've only got 5 to 10% at the most is conscious. So at a very unconscious level, you know, the mind or the programming is going on. And one of the things that it doesn't do well is process negatives. Even as adults, and we are sophisticated, clever, intelligent, and we know what don't means. If I say to you right now, whatever you do, don't think about donuts, will you?
Yeah,
Is there a chance you're thinking about donuts now? Now, you were never going to think of them. So why would I put the idea into your head? Even if you say, no, I didn't, your beautiful mind goes and looks for the thing to identify it before it can then not. So when a child, you know, you've got this cake and you may say, don't touch that cake. They're reaching out and touching it because all they've heard is touch that cake, touch that cake, touch that cake.
You don't hear the don't.
So I say, practice ditching your don'ts.
That's a good practice.
Ditch your don'ts. When I came back from NLP, this is the truth, I had sheets of the flip chart paper that had all the don'ts on that I said to my boys. 3 sheets of it, honestly. Don't speak to me like that. Don't slam the door. Don't leave your plates in the room. Don't forget your homework. Don't lose your keys. Don't. Wow.
So was that a practice that you did to start writing it down?
Yes.
And then when you realized that, what did you do then?
Flipped it to find out what I wanted them to do. And it's a script, yes, and it's practice, because we're so programmed and it's so ingrained in us to automatically go, don't.
Yes.
And it really takes a long time. So it's thinking before you speak.
Oh, so hard.
I know. So I had my script. It was like, remember to do your homework. Keep your phone safe. Remember where you've put your keys. It was like anything to stop me saying don't.
This is another one of those practices that I think that also you can take with you, and it is something that you can just practice anytime, really. You can maybe do that in the morning.
Yeah. And this isn't just for your children. This is communication with everybody, isn't it? Yeah. And so when I talked about that's fear, and it is fear a lot of the time, you know, it's we want to stop something happening, and it's understandable. Scarcity is slightly different. We live in a world where we tell children that it's hard to do something, or they have these ideas and they're going to be an astronaut, and they're going to be you know, an athlete or an Olympian. It depends on what kind of parent you are, but there are some who will say, oh, it's difficult to do that. You'll have to work hard. And it's like, forget all that. You can create your own world, make it the way you want it to be, encourage the children to believe it's that way, because it's your belief system that shows you your reality. You know, the saying is seeing is believing. It's not actually, it's the other way around. It's believing is seeing. Believe it first, because your belief is your energy, and you've got more chance of accomplishing what you believe. So that's what I meant when, you know, it's the scarcity, and we do say, oh, it's hard to do that and you need to work hard. I'm not saying don't encourage them to do the best, but it's just the world is an abundant place. And if somebody can do it, if one person's achieved it, so can they. if they've got the aptitude and the ability and, you know, they put the work in. It's just a way that we are, you know, programmed. And the blame is, you know, as I've said, we do blame other people for us having to do things when we don't have to. We blame them for how we feel a lot of the time. That was something that I was guilty of with the boys. I would say, you know, you've made me really angry. You've upset me. You've made me, they got accused of, you know, doing all sorts. You've made me drop that now. It's like, how did they do that? It's like, what are you talking about? And it was stopping. Because, you know, it was one of the real aha moments when I was learning NLP, when the trainer said, they can't make you anything. Now, there are people who say, well, if somebody is holding a gun to your head, you know, that would make you do something. Still a choice. Still a choice. Yes, I would probably do it. You know, someone's twisting my arm up my back, but it's just standing in that personal power and saying, I still have a choice. And you choose the one that you're happy with. And, you know, I was trying to get this across to my boys that nobody makes you anything. And I remember Hallam saying to me once when I'd said it to him again, you know, you've made me really angry. And he said, well, choose not to be. You know, and at 17, I wanted to slap him across the face because I thought, you're absolutely right. You're right. It's what I am preaching. So it's a great place to be when you go, well, you know, I am in a calm enough, grounded and aware enough position to let you do whatever, because I am standing in my power and controlling it.
Yes, so true. I think it's difficult to understand all these things if you're new to it, and it takes a bit of you have to be a bit brave, maybe also to go there, because I think also as parents, we're doing this because we're trying to protect our children, because we think, you know, we will help them. Don't get your hopes up. I will help you and tell you this, but what you're saying is that it actually doesn't help them.
Let them find out their own journey, because theirs could be completely different to what you've experienced.
Yes. Yeah.
And with a different mindset and with a different belief system, they will achieve different results. So it does make a huge difference.
Wow. Oh, it's so interesting to talk to you. Why don't you, just before we finish off, just tell me a little bit about the book that you've written. Yes, that would be so interesting to hear.
Well, it covers sort of 4 different pillars, I call them, because we've talked about, this is the practical tools, isn't it? Tools and tips and techniques. And one of the others that I think is really important to mention is be aware of your interrogative words. You know, when you're talking to your children and you are saying why and when and what, nobody likes to be interrogated. So it's to bring things back to you and just say, I'd like to know, I'm curious, I'm wondering. There's a different energy, and the unconscious mind is happier to respond to that. You've hooked them then and they're listening. So the book is full of magic language, so that you can find different ways of using words or structuring sentences. It has a whole section about what I call energetic communication and kinetic parenting. And of course, kinetics is just movement, and every single move we make, even those tiny inner movements, thoughts, they're all movements, and the whole movement of our human body is producing energy, and that energy is communicating, because even if we're not speaking, we can't ever not be communicating. So we're doing that as well. So there's a lot about energetic communication and energy, you know, how it comes through generations and all sorts. I look at the relationship between parent and child, and I believe that they're here to teach us as much as we them. So they trigger us so we can look at ourselves and improve our way of being. And there are a lot of people really interested in the spiritual side of parenting and soul agreements, which is, you know, really, really important for a lot of people to understand. That energy can't be created or destroyed, so it's here, isn't it?
So lots of things, lots and lots of things.
And a little bit on brain and child development. And I know we have beautiful Deborah McNellis who knows all about how important that is. And without a tiny bit of understanding that, I don't think we are able to connect with our children as well as we could, understanding what's going on for them at that particular time. So it's been a fascinating journey for me. I call it parenting magic because parents very often say, wow, that worked like magic. And I also really believe that the children are the magic. They come with the magic, they're unique. And I think if we can keep it in them, rather than knocking it out of them, which unfortunately happens parenting and schooling. So it's to see their shining bright light and keep it that way.
Yes. Oh, what a beautiful ending. I know that I'm sure that a lot of people want to get in contact with you. How will they find you?
Well, I think you've got the link to the free 6 steps, and that also leads to a full chapter of the book as well.
Fantastic.
And so you've got the link for that. And I'm on Facebook, Parenting Magic. So if people want to join that group, it's great. It's a good community.
And of course, your book you can also buy.
Of course, at Amazon, yes.
And from Amazon.
And from Amazon, and on the website's got the link to the book as well. Parenting Magic's a new approach to behaviour and communication.
Well, thank you so much for being here today. It was a pleasure talking to you.
My pleasure. Could talk for hours on it.
Well, if there is any last words, please share. I think that we got a lot of practical tools with us, from our morning routine to our list of dropping our don'ts. Is there any other last words that you want to share? Please do.
Enjoy them and appreciate how quickly it goes, and have as much fun with them as you can, because we very often forget that they are children and really, really, really deserve a childhood. They grow up fast enough.
Yes, that's so true. So thank you so much for being here, and thank you everyone for listening.
Bye.